Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Kita akan menyaksikan pemaparan seminar hasil dari Bu Risnawati. Ini mahasiswa yang kedua yang melewati melakukan seminar hasil disertasi di program studi kita. Ya, semoga berhasil. Bu Risna, gimana sehat?
Insya Allah siap, Prof.
Ya, siap ya. Oke. Ya,
Sukses
silakan,
juga.
Bu Risna.
Ya, Prof.
Hmm.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, distinguished panel members. Professor Dr. Arono, MPD, Chair of the Examination Committee. Professor Sabnil, MA, PhD, as my dissertation supervisor. Profesor Dr. Dian Eka Chandra Wardana, MPD, as my co-supervisor. Profesor Stiono Sugiharto as the external examiners, and Dr. Irmadiani M. Hum as internal examiners, and honorable guests and attendees. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Rishnawati, student ID A3A023012, a doctoral candidate in the Applied Linguistic Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Bengkulu, and a faculty member at UIN Fatmawati Soekarno Bengkulu. Today, I'm honored to present my dissertation, the result of my dissertation entitled Argument Style in the Method section of Reputable International Journal Articles in Applied Linguistic and English Language Education. This study responds to the need for greater clarity on how expert authors construct argument in the method section, an area often overlooked in formal instruction. By analyzing published articles, I explore the rhetorical strategies that enhance clarity, credibility, and persuasion in academic writing. I hope the insight from this research can support novice authors and postgraduate students in developing more effective and academically sound method section. Okay, I sincerely welcome your feedback and suggestion to enrich this work further. Thank you. Then I'd like to start my presentation. Okay. Introduction. For background of the problems. First, English has become the dominant global academic language, particularly in fields like applied linguistics and English language education. It serves not only as a means of communication, but also as a gatekeeper in international publishing. However, non-native English speaking scholars, including those from Indonesia, often face significant challenges. These include not only linguistic barriers, but also unfamiliarity with the rhetorical and structural expectation of reputable international journal. And then in this context, the method section plays a particularly important role. It is a key rhetorical space where authors must justify their research procedures to demonstrate academic rigor and credibility. While previous studies have examined the structure of the method section, identifying typical moves and steps, there is a gap when it comes to analyzing how others use rhetorical strategies to persuasively justify their methodological choice. This is especially relevant for Indonesian researchers who may lack the training, support, or exposure needed to meet this international expectation. Therefore, the aim of this study is to analyze the rhetorical strategies used by authors in reputable journal articles to justify their research method. The goal is to generate insight that can help improve academic writing practice in applied linguistics and English education, particularly for scholar working in EFL context like Indonesia. That's the point of my background. And then the problem statement, there are 6 points under explore rhetorical strategies in method section. It means that method section is crucial for demonstrating the credibility and rigor of a study. It is still underexplored in terms of rhetorical strategies, especially how others justify their methodological choice persuasively. And then the second one, challenges in applied linguistics and English education fields. It means that justification are often complex and highly context dependent, yet they rarely receive the analytical attention they deserve. And then the third one, focus on structure, not argumentation. Like listing participant, instrument, or procedure. This research focus on structural element like listing participant, instrument, or procedures, but pays less attention to the argumentative strategies that others use to make their choice appear valid and credible. And the fourth one, urgent need for in-depth analysis. The lack of focus also means the novice authors, particularly those from non-English speaking backgrounds such as Indonesia, often struggle because there are no clear discipline-specific guidelines to help them construct rhetorically effective method section. That's why it is an urgent need for in-depth rhetorical analysis. And then hopefully this study offer both theoretical insight and practical tools to help researchers write method section. They are not only methodologically sound, but also rhetorically persuasive. Okay. Next, there are 5 points as limitation of my dissertation problem. The first one, focus on specific field, applied linguistics and English education article. Scope, restrict to method section. And then target, methodological element, emphasis on rhetorical strategies, no cross-cultural comparison. Research question, there are 6 research questions in my dissertation. The first one, what elements are commonly included in the method section of reputable international journal article in applied linguistics and English education? And then the second one, how do others justify their choice of research design in the method section? And then the third one, how do others justify their participant sampling procedures in the method section? The fourth one, how do others justify their instrument or material in the method section? The fifth, how do others justify their data collection procedures in the method section? And the last one, how do others justify their data analysis procedures in the method section of applied linguistics and English language education? Literature review, why methodology matters. Yeah. In this slide, I want to highlight the key ideas that underpin my entire study. Method section is not just descriptive, it also persuasive. Yeah. According to Swallows and Pigs, and then Highland, the method section plays a rhetorical role. Others are not only telling us what they did, they are persuading readers that their choice were valid, appropriate, and academically credible. In line with ARSAT, 2024 identifies 3 common rhetorical strategies used in justifying methodological choice. This one. Yeah, there are 3 strategies according to previous study of ARSAT. The first one, cite prior strategies, and the second one, cite methods literatures, and the third one, no justification. This is as a critical rhetorical gap. This weakness or the argumentative strength of the method section and especially problematic for novice authors and researchers. And then there is gap in literatures. There are 2. Prior study focus on what is included, not how and why others justify their method. And then the second one, lack of explicit argumentative strategies, especially in high impact applied linguistic and English education journal. Recent method. In this research, I adopt mixed method content analysis, and then using qualitative and quantitative approach. Let me begin with the qualitative strength, which is based on rhetorical discourse analysis. This analysis draws on established framework by Swallows 1990 and Hyland 2004 and Basturman 2012. It focuses on identifying rhetorical move, justification strategies, and how this reflect disciplinary norm in applied linguistics and English education. Next, the quantitative strengths involves corpus-based linguistic analysis. In here, I use tool to examine frequency patterns, co-occurrence of rhetorical elements, use of hedging and modality, and citation behavior based on Hyland 2005. For the corpus, I analyzed 100 journal article published between 2019 until 2024, selected from 10 Scopus Index Quartile 1 and Quartile 2. Okay, this is the table of the corpus. There are 10 research journal. The first one, TESOL Quarterly, Quartile 1, the country is United States, and the second one, Studies in Second Language Learning and Teaching Journal, Key 1, Poland, and Relic Journal, Key 1, United Kingdom, Australian Review of Applied Linguistics, Key 1, Australia, Teaching English with Technology, Key 1, Cyprus, and then Language Linguistic Literature Journal, Key 1, Malaysia, Journal of Asia TEFL, Key 2, South Korea, Indonesian Journal of Applied Linguistics, Key 2, Indonesia, Eurasian Journal of Applied Linguistics, Key 2, Turkey, and the last one, Asian Journal of Applied Linguistics, which is each journal I will take 10 articles. And then to answer geographic diversity, articles were selected from various regions, Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. This combination of rhetorical and corpus analysis allowed me to gain a comprehensive understanding of both how justifications are made and what patterns are most prevalent across international publication. Okay. In analytical framework, this research ground in general analysis and academic discourse, and then focus on 8 methodological components in applied linguistics and method section. And then this research developed 5 types of coding framework based on the previous study. The first one, strategies 1, citation of previous study. Strategies 2, citation of methodological literatures. Strategy 3, combined justification. Strategy 4, soft justification or implicit. And then strategy 5, no explicit argumentation. Step in data analysis, there are 3 steps. The first one, I will identify subheading in method section. And then the second step, code rhetorical moves. And then the step 3, integrate qualitative and quantitative insight. For validation strategy, I will ask independent coder, MA in English education student for iterator reliability. And then I will use Cohen-Kappa to assess agreement according to Warren 2014. This is the process of intercoder reliability analysis. Independent coders are a student, master degree in English education, experience in academic discourse analysis, receive detailed coding instruction. And then for sampling procedures, there were 20% of articles titles randomly selected for double coding, and then both the researchers and the independent coder analyzed the same subset. For reliability measure, Cohen-Kappa coefficient used to assess intercoder agreement. The value of the interpretation according to Kanok Silapatam 2005 less than 0.40 poor, 0.40 until 0.59 fair, 0.60 until 0.74 good, and then more than 0.75 is excellent. They are will be divided into 4 categories: poor, fair, good, and excellent. For discrepancy resolution, differences discussed and resolved through consensus, ensure final coding was accurate and consistent. Okay, this is the research finding of my dissertation. Based on the research question 1, what elements are commonly included in the method section of reputable international journal articles in applied linguistics and English education? As the result, we can see from this figure, yeah. From figure 1, most frequently included data analysis, instrument, and data collection, nearly universal presence, and then moderately frequent sampling, context, and research design element, and then less frequently found ethical consideration and reflexivity, indicating variation in reporting standards. This is the example of how the results, yeah, how I analyze the result. This is the following extract exemplify how research design as the component of method section is typically presented in the corpus. From extra 1, corpus-based discourse analysis combines both quantitative and qualitative research tradition, blah, blah, blah. A diachronic approach allows us to trace the shift in narratives, ensuring a comprehensive understanding of the transformation of discourse. From extract 1 was obtained from the an article entitled Shifting Narrative, a corpus-based discourse analysis of American media portrayal of China COVID-19 response by Liu and Kusumawati. The others is Liu and Kusumawati, 2024. The extract illustrates the authors' clear articulation of their research design, identifying it as a corpus-based discourse analysis that integrate both quantitative and qualitative tradition with a diachronic lens to track narrative shift over time. Okay, this is the example of a research design. And then the result of the research question 2, how do authors justify their choice of research design in the method section of Applied Linguistics and English Education journal article? From table 1, we can see, yeah, most of the authors in justifying the choice of research design using S2 atau strategy 2, citation of methodological literatures with percentage 28%. And then following by strategy 5, no explicit argumentation, 25%. And then strategies 4, soft justification or implicit referencing, 21%. And then citation of previous studies or strategy 1, 14%, and then the last one, citation of previous studies and methodological literatures, or strategy 3, the 12%. This is the example of soft justification implicit referencing, which is 21%. Okay. We can see from the extract 2. Extract 2 was obtained from an article titled The Learning Potential of English as Lingua Franca, Context in the Eyes of Study Abroad Students by Hensman et al. 2024. As demonstrated, the author described the nature of the research design longitudinal mixed method in a way that suggests alignment with the study scope and objective, but without offering explicit justification or referencing methodological source. This constitutes an instance of soft justification through implicit reasoning. Okay. And then the result of research question 3, how do authors justify their participant sampling procedures? This is the most authors use soft justification or implicit referencing, 52%, following by no explicit argumentation, 18%, and then citation of methodological literature, 11%, and then citation of previous study, 10%, and the last one, citation of previous studies and methodological literature, 9%. And then the following extract illustrates citation of methodological literature or strategy 2, where authors justify this sampling by citing relevant textbook on research methodology. This extract 3 was obtained from an article titled An Ecological Perspective on the Flow of Compassion Among Iranian Learners of English as a Foreign Language by Wang et al. 2024. In this example, the authors explicitly justified their sampling procedures by citing both Dorney 2007 and Glaser and Strauss 1968 to recognize methodological source, thereby grounding their approach in established sampling framework. This illustrates the use of citation of methodological literature as strategy for legitimizing sampling decision. And then the result of research question 4, how do others justify their instrument or material? From the table 3, we can see that most of the the others use strategy 4, soft justification or implicit referencing, percentage 37%, following by citation of previous study, 25%, and then following by citation of previous studies and methodological or combined, strategy 1 and 2, 40%, and then following by no explicit argumentation, 14%, and then, I'm sorry, for the strategy 3 and strategy 5, they have the same percentage amount, 14%, and then the last one, strategy 2, citation of methodological literature, 10%. Okay, this is the following extract illustrates citation of previous studies example where authors justify their research instrument by referencing previous study that use similar approaches. This extract taken from article authors by Wang and Marius 2024 entitled Modeling the Interaction Between Teacher Credibility, Teacher Confirmation, and English Major Student Academic Engagement, a sequential mixed method approach. In this example, the authors justify the selection of the Teacher Credibility Scale, TCS, by citing Ellis 2000, who is originally deployed and validated the instrument by referencing both original source and reported reliability coefficient. The others reinforce the credibility and appropriateness of their chosen measure tool. This practice exemplifies strategy 1, citation of previous study, Ellis 2000, where methodological decisions are substantiated through established precedent in early empirical research. And then the result of research question 5, how do others justify their data collection procedures in method section Applied Linguistics Journal? Most authors use or apply strategy 3, citation of previous studies and methodological literatures, 51%, following by soft justification or implicit referencing, 16%, And then citation previous study 12%, citation of methodological literature 12%, same. And then the last one, no explicit argumentation or strategy 5, 9%. This is the following extract illustrate strategy 3, where authors combine reference for both previous studies employing similar approaches and relevant methodological textbook. We can see from the extract 5. Extract 5 was obtained from an article titled Understanding EFL Structure Identity Changes During Online Teaching in the COVID-19 Pandemic, a case study in China by Yuan and Surwan, 2024. In this excerpt, the authors justify the use of semi-structured narrative interview by citing both theoretical and methodological choice. The reference to Su 2007 provide conceptual grounding in narrative identify research, while Bejard et al. 2004 and Tickle 2000 further support the relevance and appropriateness of the data collection technique. This dual reference strategy reflects a deliberate and methodologically informed rationale that align with established research practice in qualitative inquiry. And then the last one, the result of the last research question, how do others justify the data analysis procedures? Most authors use strategy 2, citation of methodological literatures, which is 28%, and then following by citation of previous study or strategy 1, 27%, and then following by strategy 4, sub-justification, 23%, and then citation of previous study and methodological literature, 17%, and then the last one, no explicit argumentation, 5%. This is the following extract 6, which is illustrate strategy 4, where authors argue for data analysis without explicit references to previous studies or direct citation of methodological textbook. For such a data classification help to manipulate, track, and analyze individual specimen in data. Extract 6 was obtained from the article The Basic Vocabulary of an Extinct Language, the Khatan Language in Mongolia by Zakufov et al. 2024. In this case, the justification for data analysis procedure is conveyed through a general explanation of utility rather than through references to methodological literature or prior study. That's the result of my dissertation. And then for the discussion, common element in method section. In this discussion section, I will analyze the result and then relating to the previous studies. And okay. For common element in method section. In this part of discussion, I will highlight some key findings regarding two common elements found in the method section of reputable journal article in applied linguistics and English education. First, the analysis reveals that certain core components are frequently and rhetorically emphasized, especially data analysis, instrument or material, and data collection procedures. These components are critical because they enhance the transparency, replicability, and credibility of the study in the eyes of the readers. In contrast, supporting elements like participant or sampling procedures and contextual background are included primarily to establish ecological validity, showing that the research is relevant and grounded in meaningful context. And then, interestingly, the research design is often implicitly presented instead of being clearly labeled as a standalone section. It is typically embedded within other description. This could potentially lead to confusion for novice authors or researchers who are looking for clear model to follow. And then another important observation is the limited attention given to ethic and reflexibility. This element, through essential for ensuring research integrity and responsibility, are often minimized or even omit, possibly clue to space limitation or editorial preferences. And then, from a rhetorical perspective, it appears that authors strategically emphasize components that serve as a strong warrants. That is element that justify their methodological decision. On the other hand, elements that are less likely to be scrutinized by reviewer or readers may be downplayed, reflecting an adaptation to disciplinary norms and publishing expectation. And then the last one. Overall, this support the idea that method section is not just about procedural reporting. It is rhetorical space where authors negotiate credibility, disciplinary alignment, and audience expectation. And then in this part of discussion, I will explain the rhetorical strategies that authors use to justify their research design. From the analysis, I identify five main strategies. The first one, strategy 2, and then the second one, strategy 4, then strategy 1, and strategy 3. It means that this inconsistency and rhetorical strategy can be risked when justification are implicit or weak. It undermines the credibility and replicability of the research. This gap often results from space limitation, assumed disciplinary norms, and lack of rhetorical training. For EFL scholars, such as in Indonesia, the challenge is even greater. Many struggle with both the language and the general expectation of international academic writing. This leads to underdeveloped justification, which can reduce their visibility and chance of publication. Nah,
Bisa
therefore,
langsung ke kesimpulan, Bu
okay.
Krisna?
Therefore, one important pedagogical implication is that academic writing instruction should go beyond teaching structure. It should focus on rhetorical reasoning. In particular, graduate training need to emphasize how to combine theoretical and empirical justification effectively to construct stronger arguments. And then for justification, one of the most striking finding is the widespread rhetorical implicitness. In many cases, authors provide vague or even no justification at all, which reduce the transparency and clarity of the research process. As the result, they miss important opportunities to establish credibility, demonstrate replicability, and highlight the cultural relevance of their participant selection, factors that are crucial in academic publishing. And then justification strategies for research instrument or material. The most prominent pattern I found is that what I call rhetorical implicitness. That is, many authors provide limited or vague justification, relying on functional reasoning rather than grounding their choice in theory. This weakens the rhetorical impact and clarity of their research. As the conclusion, incomplete or vague argument can weaken the credibility of the research. More importantly, English as an additional language, scholars such as those in Indonesia are often disadvantaged by the lack of clear rhetorical models. Without explicit guidance, it becomes more difficult for them to engage confidently in international academic discourse. This highlights a strong need for writing instruction that not only teach structure but also emphasize rhetorical reasoning and justification strategies. And then for justification, such as for data collection procedures. From the result, across the data, there are key issue. Yeah, three key issue emerge. The first one, variability in justification quality, even among high impact journal, and then a continued reliance on FAGU or implicit reasoning, and the negative impact on novice author of researcher, particularly EFL scholars, who may not have access to clear rhetorical model or formal training in academic argumentation. This further reinforced the need for explicit instruction in rhetorical reasoning and methodological justification academic writing education. And the last one, justification strategies for data analysis. The most frequently used strategy is S2, citation of methodological literatures. It's been others often refer to well-known sources like Creswell or Cohen, which is help to ensure their analytical choice in authoritative framework. As the conclusion from the result, two key insights emerge. The first one, citation-based strategies, S1 to S3 are dominant overall, which is a positive trend. And then the second one, however, the presence of FAGU or missing justification, S4 and S5, reveals a rhetorical gap, especially among EFL scholars who may lack access to effective rhetorical instruction or genre models. This underscores the need for more explicit guidance in academic writing, especially regarding to how to justify methodological choice rhetorically, not just structurally. And then, okay, the last one. In this section, I would like to acknowledge several key limitations of my study, important both for understanding the scope of the research and for guiding future inquiries. First, the study has a limited corpus scope. I analyzed only 10 articles from 10 high impact English language journal. This means that regional, non-English, and emerging journals were excluded. As a result, the finding may not fully represent the global diversity of rhetorical practice, especially those from underrepresented contexts. And then the second one, the research had a sectional focus restriction. The analysis centered only on the method section and did not consider how this section interact with introduction or discussion. This limits the study ability to capture the broader argumentative coherence of the article. And then the third one, the study is inherently interpretive in nature. It relies on qualitative coding and rhetorical move analysis, which despite achieving a good level of intercoder reliability, still involve a degree of subjectivity. This could affect replicability and interpretation across different analyses. And then the fourth, the research did not distinguish between subfields within applied linguistics and English language education, such as SLA, second language acquisition, language assessment, or curriculum studies. This area may have different rhetorical norms, and lumping them together could obscure more nuanced justification patterns. And then finally, the analysis is based on final published texts, which are often the result of editorial mediation and peer review. This means that what we see in the article may not fully reflect the original rhetorical choice of the authors, particularly EFL scholars, whose writing may have been revised to meet reviewers' or editors' expectation. Despite this limitation, this study still offers valuable insight into the rhetorical strategies used in the method section of highly visible journal, but this finding should be interpreted within the constraint of the study's design. Okay. Beyond the finding presented, Today, a key achievement of this dissertation is its immediate contribution to the academic discourse. I'm pleased to report that the 3 of the 6 problem formulation investigated in this study have already been published in Scopus Quartile 2 Index International Journal. This underscore the rigor and relevance of the research conducted, as we can see from this slide, have already been published in a journal on language and language teaching, publisher Sonata Dharma University Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Okay, I am incredibly grateful to my dissertation advisor, Professor Sapnil and Prof. Dian. Not only did you provide invaluable knowledge and intellectual guidance that shaped this research, but your consistent motivation keep me focused and inspired during the most challenging times. Your mentorship has been truly transformative for my study and my growth as a researcher. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, yeah, Bu Risna. We still have about 1.5 hours. Yeah, now let's invite Prof. Setiono Sugiarto. Silakan, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Professor Safnil. Risna, thank
Yes,
you
Prof.
for presenting to us the result of your dissertation, and congratulations. Finally, you can defend this in the result seminar session.
Thank you
Now,
so much.
Risna, I read your draft with patience, and it seems to me that you have shown progress, okay, in your revising the draft. However, there are still some comments that linger, and I hope you can discuss my comments with your supervisor and co-supervisor. Now, can you allow me to share my comments?
Okay.
I will censor the comments to to Ibu. What's her name again? I forget.
Mona.
Prof.
Mona.
Safnil. Okay, Ibu Mona.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, now you are the co-host, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Safnil.
Hmm.
Can you see my comments
Yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
we can.
yes, Prof.
All right. The first comment, Bu Risna. Okay, this is somewhere on page 8. Okay, in the introduction. But very general comments is that the revised draft shows a lot of improvement. Okay, in terms of the organizations, readability, and ways of presenting arguments. But still, I have remaining comments that you can consider following it up, okay, for your revised draft later in the closed session. Now, on page 8, you stated, okay, methodological justification is not only technical, but also ideological and epistemological. Okay. Now, I love this statement, actually. Now, my question is, where in the findings can you show us convincingly that methodological justification is indeed ideological and epistemological from the result of your analysis? I totally agree with this statement. Okay, no doubt. It's not just a matter of technicality, but it's also loaded with ideology and epistemology. Okay, Lisna, would you like to respond to my questions?
Okay, Prof. Thank you for the suggestion. I will improve my page 8 by reading more
Okay.
theories. Okay.
Right. So I think this is very vital, okay, in your analysis to justify your arguments. That shows that when scholars are presenting their research, particularly in the methodology section, it's not just simply technical. It's not just simply describing participants, describing procedures of the analysis, okay? But there are something, implicit or tacit knowledge, right? Implicit or tacit knowledge that, make the scholars to devise his or her own methodology, okay? Now, I think you need to make it very clear, these arguments, Risna, particularly in showing us, here are the data that shows that indeed the writers devise this methodology or justify the choice of the methodology ideologically and epistemologically, right? This is, I think, the important, the core concepts actually that the readers hope to see in your analysis, Bu Risna.
May I answer, Prof?
Yes, sure.
In term of ideological methodological justification, it means that the authors in define the research. For example, the research design, it will be ideological if they also explicitly explain why they choose this research design by explicitly explain from the methodological books or previous studies, maybe from when I will make it more.
Yeah. What I mean is that when you analyzing the data, okay, when you show the readers the data, there are certain points where the scholars or the writers indeed justify his or her methodology, not only technical, but also ideological and epistemological, so that you can strengthen these arguments,
Okay.
Risna.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
So,
Thank you, Prof.
yeah, this is, I think, is very, essential part, okay, in your dissertation, right? Because, we conceive the idea of methodology is only technically, I mean, okay? Now, if you can show us that certain parts of the justification of the methodology is also ideological and epistemological, I think your dissertation will contribute a lot, okay, to the concept of, justifying methodology in the research article section.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. All right. Now, the second comment. Now, here in the literature, on page 11, you quoted several scholars. Okay. Related to the qualities, right, that a methodology must possess. Okay, among others, construct validity, internal validity, and external validity. This is a very conventional conception of the qualities of methodology, right? And in the context, now here is my comments, Risna. In the context of a geopolitics of academic writing, you may read this very influential book by Suresh. Okay, the title is Geopolitics of Academic Writing. Now, such qualities of methodology has been problematized. Okay, is called into question, is doubted. Okay, why? Because these qualities reflects very much positivist philosophy, while different epistemologies require different perception of what constitute qualities in methodology. Now, I will later send the article by Li Wei and Lee, 2020-2024, where they employ personal stories and anecdotes as a reflexive form of data and which consider the subjectivities of experiences as valid data. So in their methodology, this article is published in a flagship journal, Applied Linguistics, okay? Top-notch journal in Applied Linguistics. They problematize the very concept of construct validity, internal validity, and external validity, which rely on the data. But actually, one's experiences, the researcher experiences also reflect valid data. Okay? Even the subjectivities also reflect valid data. Now, my point is that when you review the literature, when you survey the available literature, you not only present as it is, but you have also need to enlighten your reader by taking position, by contrasting different conflicting arguments, right? So that you can come with your own argument, Risma. So in other words, your voice, okay, your authorial voice is reflected in chapter 2. Okay?
Yeah, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. So I think, yeah, this is a very conventional understanding, and Yin wrote this in 2018. Okay. But knowledge always evolves. Okay. My point in number 2 may also strengthen your points in number 1. Okay, arguments number 1. Ideological, methodological justification is not technical, but also ideological and epistemological. Okay, so please consider, these qualities of justifying methodology. Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
Yes. There are indeed many studies that have other qualities apart from construct internal and external validity. And number 3 here, this is still in review of related literature. Okay. In sections 2.2, you wrote conventional components, right, of method section. This is on page 12, Risna.
Yes.
Now, I suggest that you expand your reading by keeping abreast of the emerging, not just conventional, okay, method section in applied linguistics. You can observe this in such reputable journals as Applied Linguistics, Modern Language Journals, TESOL, okay, by especially scholars from the Global South who problematize the convention and propose other ways of knowing in method section. Now, it is advised that you go beyond the conventional, so your study does not look deterministic, Trisna, but has different but compelling flavor. What I mean here is that you need to go beyond the convention, okay, to help enrich, to provide further flavor in your study, Risna. Okay, if we insist on relying on the convention, it seems that our research is too deterministic, Risna. Okay, so I suggest that you need to add, another flavor, okay, another flavor in your study, okay, so that your study can be enriching, Risna. Okay, I'm not against the convention. Okay, I'm not against the convention. The available conventions needs to be described, of course, but you also need to infuse your own personal flavor, okay, in your research, Risna. Now that will become your contribution later. Okay, Risna?
Okay, yeah, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, Bu Risna. So that's the idea that I have in mind in commenting particularly in the concept of the what is it, convention in writing methodology section. Okay. The next is reflexivity. Still, I think in a review of related literature. So this is a very important point. Reflexivity and applied linguistic research. I also love this statement, Risna. When you wrote, for instance, in the second sentence, it allows researcher to move beyond the illusion of neutrality. This is exactly what I have commented before, Risna. So you are on the right track here by saying that the researchers move beyond the illusion of neutrality, embracing a stand of informed subjectivity that enriches both the analysis and scholarly value of the work. This is a very significant point in your study. But my comment is that you need to discuss this more proportionally in the literature section, okay? And manifest it in the finding of your study, Risna.
Okay.
You know, you get my point,
Yes,
Risna?
yes, Prof.
Okay. So informed subjectivity is always present when scholars justify their research methodology. But in the review of related literature, it's not proportionally discussed. So this is a very good point. Okay, Rizna, and in your findings as well, I know this is seminar hasil. Okay, is I know this is not yet comprehensive enough, but here is my comment. Okay, to help further improve the quality of your draft in the section in the close section later.
Thank
Okay.
you, Prof.
All right. So if we draw the line between the concept methodological justification is ideological and epistemological, and considering this from the context of geopolitics of academic writing plus the concept of informed subjectivity, they are interconnected, Risna. Okay, but in your research, it has yet to be
Explore.
elaborated further. It has yet to be highlighted without, we have to note, without ignoring the convention. Okay, my point is not to dismiss the importance of convention. No, but my point is that you have to go beyond the convention. Okay, Rizna. So
Yes.
please don't get me wrong by saying this. I'm ignoring conventions. No, I'm not ignoring convention, but
Okay.
you go beyond convention.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
Prof.
right. All right. Now number 5. This is on methodology section. You draw on insight from Swales, okay, and other scholars. Now you identify 8 components, okay, of methodology. My question is, did you find other components in your findings apart from this listed above?
Yes, sir. Yes, Prof. But
Okay.
I limit my study only this 8 according previous study and researchers that most of
Okay.
applied linguistic and English education article use this 5.
Okay.
This 8.
So if you can find other components from the data, I think it would be much better for you to generate new insight, Krishna.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because as a PhD candidate, you have to show authority, right? You have to show your authority based on the data. You find some new component apart from this, so that your study can help enrich the existing 8 components here, right?
Yes, yeah, Prof.
All right. So far, you get my point? Bu
Yes,
Risna?
okay, I
All
got the
right.
point.
So that will become your contributions, actually, Bu, if you find other components, okay? Now, number 6, I think this is the last point. I read your analysis with patience, Ibu Risna. You presented compelling finding from the data, but to enhance the explanatory adequacy of your finding, I think the analysis needs to make sharper and more critical in terms of both conventional and contemporary perspectives related to the topics, right?
Okay, yes,
What
Prof.
I mean by contemporary perspective here is that you integrate the conventional and the contemporary ones, Ibu Risna,
Yes, Prof.
so that you yield your study, your research has different flavor from the previous research that you have surveyed in the review of related literature.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Any questions, Ibu Risna?
Not yet, Prof. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay.
Yeah, I hope that I give useful comments, okay, for your draft, Bu Risna, and best of luck for the next session, the
Yeah.
next sections of your defense, Bu Risna.
Yes, thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Professor Safnel. Back
Okay,
to
thank you,
you.
Prof.
Thank you very much, yeah, Prof. Setiono. Yeah, this is a very useful comments and suggestion for Bu Risna
Okay, yes, Prof.
to improve the quality, readability, and logic, rationale of your dissertation. Thank you very much. Okay, next let's invite Ibu Irma. Pak Arono mungkin masih dalam rapat sana. Ya. Ya, minta Bu Irma, silakan Bu Irma.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Sapnil.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Congratulations for Mem Risna.
Thank you,
You
Ma'am
finished your work. Okay, good job.
Irma. Thank
Okay.
you, Ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to know, this is the comparing study or not? You compare between applied linguistic or linguistic and language education. Yeah, it is for the title. What do you think, or what do you suggest or reason?
Okay, I'm not comparing, Ma'am Irma. I just explore the method sections, the element that usually used in method section, and how the others justify. Bagaimana saya tidak membandingkan, tapi saya mencari tahu apa saja elemen yang sering dipakai di dalam artikel jurnal Applied Linguistics dan English Education.
Yeah, as we know, linguistic and language education is quite different.
Yeah.
For example, many linguistic study use qualitative research that they not use quantitative. So in the methodology, sometimes they put some example of the data, and then they try to analyze, and then what is the theory, the main theory that we will use in the methodology. This usually in the qualitative or linguistic study. Okay. So that is about the title, but this it depends on you, but it doesn't matter, I think.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, the result, maybe you have to explain it, what is different between language education study and linguistic study. Okay, and then the introduction section. Yeah, I think this is too short, I think, because previous studies said not too much. Yeah, we do not put the gap. Maybe you have to find the other related studies to explain about the gap. Jadi mungkin penelitian yang lain yang mungkin perlu dijelaskan juga dalam penelitian ini sehingga terlihat gapnya. Jadi ini masih agak sedikit gitu ya. Kemudian urgensi penelitiannya dengan penelitian yang lain itu bagaimana, memang agak sudah dituliskan tapi belum begitu banyak. And then the second contribution of the study for not clear enough ya. What the academic field yang harus dijelaskan di sini. Apakah untuk academic writing atau apa dari sisi contribution of the study. Kemudian untuk bab 3 itu yang ya teorinya, teori siapa yang cenderung untuk filosofi seperti kata Prof. Setiono tadi. Em, jadi filosofi atau landasan filosofinya ya tidak, ya harus dituliskan juga karena memang ini disertasi ya, ada conceptual framework yang harus dijelaskan. Kemudian di metodologi itu eh, ya instrumennya ini yang dipakai ini masih agak, jadi ini kan ini ya validasi tadi kata Prof. Setiono, kemudian data kualitatif dan kuantitatifnya, kemudian ya karena kalaupun kualitatif harus ada validasinya juga. Kemudian ya ini mixed method, oke, data kuantitatif dengan kualitatifnya, apakah sudah tertulis, apakah ada, kemudian perbedaan antara keduanya tadi sudah Bu Risna jelaskan. Nah, yang terakhir itu yang hasilnya pembahasannya. Jadi mungkin karena ini disertasi itu perlu ada temuan dari temuan teorinya apa, tidak hanya menganalisis. Dan kemudian ya seperti kata Pak Setiono gunakan kemampuan baca dan lain-lain untuk melihat apa kira-kira temuan yang bisa diberikan kepada para pembaca. Jadi bagaimana gitu ya fiturnya, bila ada fitur kebahasaannya antara linguistik dengan language education. Kemudian ya referensinya sudah belum pakai APA ya. Ya, ya tolong digunakan APA Style Sentence Edition. Yeah, I think that's all, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Irma.
Oke, thank you Bu Irma. Oke, berikutnya kita beri kesempatan kepada Prof. Arono.
Ya,
Ya,
baik. Terima kasih Prof. Sapnil. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat pagi Prof. Setiono, Prof. Dian, Bu Irma. Good job ya, Bu Risna.
Ya, thank you.
Ya, semoga lancar seterusnya ya.
Amin.
Baik, tadi sudah banyak masukan penguatan dari Prof. Setiono dengan Bu Irma ya terhadap progres yang sudah Memrisna tuliskan ya di seminar hasil ini. Beberapa hal yang menjadi catatan saya ini Prof. Bu Risna ya.
Ya, Prof.
Tadi mungkin sudah ditegaskan oleh Prof. Setiono dengan Bu Irma. Dalam aplik linguistik ini kan ada dua tema besar yang dibahas ya. English Education dan aplik linguistik itu sendiri ya. Oke. Tapi saya belum menemukan ya seperti apa temuan dari masing-masing ini ya. Mungkin itu perlu dituangkan di hasil. Nanti kan ada di discussion itu akan ketemu style dari masing-masing eh, dalam metodologinya. Karena setiap setiap eh, lingkup skop jurnal itu akan menentukan style dari tulisan ya, tulisan yang disajikan gitu ya. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua konsistensi. Jadi konsistensi di sini penting ketika Bu Risna ini membahas atau mendiskusikan terhadap ekstrak ini ya, ekstrak satu, dua dan seterusnya ya, pengkodean ini. Maksud saya begini, kan setiap jurnal itu kan ada 10 Bu Risna ya.
Ya, ya, Prof.
Oke, apakah itu keterwakilan atau yang ada saja ketika di result ini? Bu Risna sajikan itu.
Ya, keterwakilan, Prof. Misalnya yang random.
Random ya.
Ya,
Oke. Yang random artinya keterwakilan saja begitu. Jadi tidak harus dari 10 jurnal itu ada yang tidak ada dari setiap eh, tahapan ini dalam setiap metodologi itu.
eh,
Apa ada semua?
sesuai saya temukan tadi ada yang dia secara implisit, ada yang eksplisit dia masukkan bagian misalnya tuh Untuk
Mhm.
bagian instrumen misalnya, dia
Mhm.
gabungkan di data collection gitu, Prof.
Hmm. Ah, oke. Artinya itu konsistensi yang penting ya, karena Bapak melihat eh, apa ya setiap basic question yang Bu Risna tanyakan itu ya, kalaupun memang random itu keterwakilan itu proporsional ya, jangan karena dia tidak ada atau seperti apa itu yang. Kemudian berikutnya saya ini Bu Risna ini yang dicetak untuk eh, penguji ini hasilnya saja atau tidak ada lampiran atau seperti apa, Mem?
Iya, belum Kak, Prof.
Oke, karena ini penting ya. Penting proses seminar hasil ini kan lebih ke metodologi yang Prof. Setiono sampaikan tadi. Jadi kami tidak melihat aktivitas Bu Risma ini dalam penelitian ya. Tidak terlihat karena aktivitas lebih ke teknis itu adanya di lampiran ya kan.
Ini
Nah
akan
itu
saya pakai.
kalau bisa itu dilampirkan, kalau misalnya tidak dicetak ya harus dalam bentuk file begitu ya. Karena begini, ketika tadi ya validasi, identifikasi, tabulasi itu akan kelihatan, sehingga ekstraksi dari setiap eh, apa ya data yang random diambil Bu Risna itu akan terlihat nanti di tabulasi Bu Risna, pengkodean itu seperti apa begitu. Itu dilakukan ya, Bu Risna?
Ini ada Prof, ada
Oh,
tabel.
oke.
Cuma saya nggak masukkan ke, saya pikir.
Oke. Boleh ditayangkan?
Oke, oke, ya Prof.
Oke. Itu yang validasi siapa, Bu Risna, selain Sri
Eh,
Sejan?
saya sama ada teman yang lagi S3 di UNES sama
Mhm.
pembimbing Prof.
Oke. Gimana Bu Risna mengantisipasi misalnya kalau Bu Risna eh, sesuai atau apa ya terhadap temuan itu, ya bagian itu, terus yang validator yang kedua tidak malah, berarti kan 50-50 itu. Nah, gimana caranya
Ada
Bu Risna?
menggunakan Cohen Kappa Prof. Ini
Oh,
rumusnya.
oh dengan rumus,
Ya.
tidak tidak divalidator dengan orang ketiga
Enggak, jadi
atau langsung di input.
bentar Prof.
Oke.
Untuk tabel gimana? Saya bisa share ya Prof.
Berbagi. Oke.
Nah, Prof.
Sedang.
Nah, ini tabelnya,
Oke.
untuk yang elemen.
Setiap elemen ya
Ya.
ada 8. Oke.
Ini
Hmm.
semuanya yang elemen ada 8.
Hmm.
Kemudian ini ini finalnya,
Mm-mm.
persentasenya.
Artinya di sini tidak ada validator ketiga ya, langsung saja diinput dengan rumus itu. Begitu, Bu Risna.
Ya, sama teman independen code nanti diskusinya sama pembimbing.
Oke. Nah, itu kalau bisa itu diceritakan di metodologi penelitian. Terus aspek bahasanya mana ini? Bisa kita lihat. Karena ini kan checklist-checklist saja.
Oh, ini ada di bawahnya, Prof. Nah,
Di mana?
teman ini allows the most ini. Kalau untuk yang
Nah,
kalimat
sebelum muncul ini, Bu Risna, artinya ada proses sebelum ada tabulasi ini kan ada aktivitas yang researcher lakukan kan,
oh
sehingga
iya,
memutuskan ini persen, ini aspek linguistiknya, pernyataannya gitu, setiap elemen.
bentar. Karena dia banyak Prof, 200-an, jadi saya nggak print.
Enggak, maksud saya dalam bentuk file eh, apa yang dilakukan tabulasi sebelum ini.
Ini saya nggak, saya ini Prof, saya masukkan misalnya untuk jurnal TK1, untuk di sana yang mana eksplisit
Hmm.
mana kalimatnya. Nah, ini
Ya, maksud saya itu kan artinya Bu Risna kan pengkodean.
ah,
Ya kan? Aslinya membaca, menandai, memberi kode, sehingga muncullah nanti memasukkan ke tabel itu. Nah, itu harus dimunculkan, aktivitas itu.
ya
Harus
Prof.
dilampirkan. Karena
Ya.
begini, Bu Risna, dalam penelitian sekarang, ini memungkinkan dengan teknologi kan? Ya kan? Dengan teknologi. Nah, Bu Risna melakukannya secara manual kan?
Ya.
Arti membaca per bab setiap artikel itu. Nah, itu harus dilihatkan. Kami sebagai pembaca harus melihat itu. tahapannya lakukan Bu Risna mungkin kalau tidak semuanya itu kan peneliti yang memiliki data ya, collecting data secara keseluruhan. Tetapi kita pembaca harus melihat itu begitu. Karena kalau dilampirkan semua dari artikel kan banyak gitu ya. Nah, cukup aktivitas research peneliti di sini eh, mengidentifikasi, memberikan kode terhadap apa yang menjadi elemen temuan dari peneliti. Itu masukan ya, Bu Risna ya.
Tapi saya masukkan tabel-tabelnya sama itu.
Ya, tabel tadi oke. Sebelum tabel
Data-data.
itu,
Ya,
sesuai dengan
data-data.
ini, ya,
Tahapan
sesuai
penelitian
dengan
maksudnya itu.
prosedur, ya,
Ya,
prosedur dari
tahapan atau prosedur penelitian.
analisis data Borisna ini.
Hmm.
Mm-mm, itu harus ada semua. Tidak bisa langsung jadi begitu ya. Karena kita ini kan penelitian sosial ya, jadi harus ada aktivitasnya, ya, best prosesnya. Tadi udah ya masalah teknis diberikan masukan Bu Irma, tadi itu mohon dicermati lagi. Oke, ya. Di luar dari itu semua sudah bagus ya, Borisnya sudah publikasi tadi ya. Itu publikasinya dari data ini ya?
Iya.
Oke. Oke, thank you, Prof. Sapnil. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Prof. Rono. Berikutnya beri kesempatan kepada Ibu Dian.
Ya, terima kasih Prof. Sapnil.
Ya, Bu Dian.
Izin Prof. Sapnil, Prof. Sutiono, Prof. Aron, Bu Irma, dan Bapak Ibu mahasiswa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Ya,
Waalaikumsalam
Bu
warahmatullahi
Risma,
wabarakatuh.
ya, Bu Risma sudah banyak ya itu masukan dari pembimbing, dari Dewan Penguji yang akan kita cermati bersama-sama ya nanti Bu Risma ya, karena kita hanya beberapa kali saja ketemu. Insya Allah nanti karena sibuk di LED dan DPKS serta web prodi yang akan akreditasi. Jadi saya agak abe dengan disertasi Firman, maaf. Tapi insya Allah setelah ini saya akan apa janji ya Bu Irma, Bu Risma akan intens gitu ya membaca dan kita diskusi gitu.
Ya, Prof.
Oke, tadi substansi sudah banyak diberikan oleh masukannya oleh Prof. Setiono, Bu Irma, Prof. Aron yang secara menyeluruh memberikan masukan kepada gaya menulis dan berargumentasi yang Bu Risma lakukan. Kemudian nanti akan kita cermati bersama-sama lagi. Dan saran saya, Bu Risma ya, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada beliau, Prof. Setiono, Prof. Aron, Bu Irma, dan Bu Risma yang sudah bekerja keras dan sudah mempublikasikan artikelnya di Scopus, di jurnal Scopus, sehingga mudah-mudahan nanti akan ada publikasi-publikasi lagi dari tulisan ini.
Amin.
Ini Bu Risma yang saya sarankan ini belum ada. Ini Bu Risma ya, mungkin lupa atau nggak sempat, mungkin nggak sempat ya, nggak sempat. Jadi misalnya abstraknya belum ada, kata pengantar yang sifatnya itu merupakan satu bentuk kelengkapan dari disertasi ini ya. Daftar gambang, daftar tabel, daftar rumus, yang seperti itu. Jadi itu nampaknya belum teridentifikasi karena mungkin belum sempat dan sementara buru-buru Risma harus apa ya, segera sebenarnya hasil. Kemudian referensi itu ya Bu Risma seperti yang disarankan oleh Prof. Tiono tadi. Ini Bu Risma juga masih perlu banyak menavigasi lagi ya, masih perlu banyak menavigasi lagi referensi yang diperlukan, yang signifikan, yang relevan. Karena referensi yang Ibu baca itu masih perlu sangat dikembangkan. Misalnya kalau yang referensi yang Ibu baca ini saya hitung masih 104 Bu ya, padahal minimal dalam satu disertasi itu harus 150 misalnya ya. Nah, ini eh, sehingga referen yang baru 104 ini sangat potensial akan dikembangkan gitu ya, akan kita navigasi lagi sehingga akan ketemu eh, bentuk atau jumlah yang memadai untuk itu ya. Karena 6 pertanyaan penelitian ya Bu ya.
Ya,
Enam
Prof.
pertanyaan penelitian itu 6 pertanyaan penelitian itu misalnya saja kalau masing-masing idealnya itu 30 reference, berarti kan harus 180 gitu Bu ya. Sementara Ibu masih 104 eh, reference gitu ya, sehingga memang masih perlu dikembangkan. Nggak apa-apa Bu, nanti kita inikan lagi ya, kita navigasi lagi, kita diskusi-diskusi lagi.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Iya, kemudian saran berikutnya ya Bu ya, ini di bagian misalnya di bagian pendahuluan gitu ya. Bagian pendahuluan Ibu masih saya sering beberapa kali menguji dengan Prof. Arono itu Prof. Arono itu pasti marah kalau gaya menulis mahasiswa tidak arguing ketika menulis bagian pendahuluan gitu ya. Jadi saya sarankan Bu ya bahwa bagian eh, pendahuluan itu harus ditulis secara arguing dan argumentasinya itu diambil dari hasil penelitian terdahulu dan diusahakan banyak sekali multiple citations, apa Bu, citasi yang sifatnya ganda gitu ya. Karena saya lihat memang sih Bu Risma sudah menggunakan citasi ganda, tapi belum belum apa ya, belum maksimal gitu, sehingga ini perlu dilihat lagi karena bagian pendahuluan itu merupakan satu bagian yang sangat menarik bagi pembaca. Pembaca akan tertarik membaca disertasi Ibu dan melihatnya dari berbagai macam aspek. Maksud saya melihatnya dari atau membaca lebih lanjut ketika bagian pendahuluan itu ditulis secara arguing gitu ya. Menurut Prof. Arono, Prof. Safnil seperti itu. Sehingga memang Ibu harus menulisnya secara argumen apa berargumentasi berdasarkan hasil penelitian terdahulu. Bukan kalau Ibu saya lihat itu masih menggunakan gaya citasi yang sifatnya definisi atau pernyataan atau sintesis yang seperti Ibu ya. Kita usahakan Bu eh, bagian pendahuluan itu ditulis dengan gaya evaluatif gitu ya, dengan gaya kritis terhadap hasil-hasil penelitian terdahulu agar bagian pendahuluan ini benar-benar arguing. Apalagi coba dicermati lagi tulisan Ibu yang sudah publish di Scopus itu Bu ya, dicermati itu kan gaya menulis pendahuluannya itu agak beda dengan gaya gaya yang Ibu gunakan menulis di ilustrasi ini. Mungkin Ibu sudah lelah ini ya Bu ya. Jadi apalagi saya lihat Ibu sudah kalau nggak salah sudah 3 Bu ya.
Ya.
2 Scopus, 1 Sinta 2. Wow. Ini pekerjaan yang luar biasa Bu ya. 2 Scopus, Sinta 2, 1. Wah, ini pekerjaan yang luar biasa. Jadi mungkin ini Bu sekarang stop dulu publikasinya. Kita fokus ke disertasi ya Bu ya. Supaya lebih energi kita supaya tidak karena menulis Cinta 2 aja juga sudah susah ya Bu ya, apalagi tambah Scopus lagi tambah. Wow, keren keren Bu Irisma keren. Tapi Ibu sekarang kita balik lagi ke disertasi. Jadi saat publikasi sudah selesai dan kita balik lagi ke sini sehingga saran-saran atau masukan yang disarankan oleh Prof. Setiono, Prof. Aron dan Bu Irma tadi bisa kita maksimalkan gitu. Kemudian berikutnya Bu ya, saran lagi, ingat loh Bu, bagian temuan dan pembahasan itu 80%, ya 80% dari bagian disertasi ya Bu ya, bagian disertasi. Dan ini kalau nggak salah bobotnya itu paling tinggi loh Bu, bagian temuan dan pembahasan itu di bab penilaian. Itu kalau nggak salah ini bobotnya 2 Bu ya, bobotnya 2 ini. eh, Tinggi banget itu Bu ya. Jadi kita maksimalkan untuk menulis bagian temuan dan pembahasan ini, terutama untuk menulis bagian-bagian hasil atau temuan dari kegiatan atau prosedur penelitian kita. Karena saya lihat memang eh, lampiran untuk membuktikan aktivitas penelitian itu memang perlu kita kaji sekali lagi gitu ya. Ya. Itu saja Prof. Terima kasih. Terima kasih Prof.
Oke, terima kasih,
Setiano.
Bu Dian.
Nanti, Mas.
Yeah. Okay, we still have about 30 minutes. Okay, Bu Risna, I'll focus on your discussion. Yeah? There have been many suggestions, comments, corrections, yeah, from the other examiners, yeah, particularly from Prof. Setiono. So in your uh, discussion, yeah, uh, following the title of your dissertation, this is argument, okay? Argument in the method section, where many authors may think that this section is not really argumentative, you know, because we use standard style, standard procedure, yeah. But in social sciences, it must be argumentative because that is the way we convince readers. Yeah. In sciences or in engineering, yeah, maybe this method is not very argumentative because everybody knows. Yeah, by using a particular apparatus or instrument, yeah, everybody knows the results. Yeah, but in social science, we have to argue. Yeah, the argument is the strengths and the reason, yeah, for claiming something. Yeah. Now, in discussion section, I think you have to strengthen your argument. For example, yeah, this is on page 66. Okay, well, let me show this 66. Okay, here, can you see this?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, this one. Theoretically, the study demonstrates that the method section should be understood not merely as a procedural report, but as a rhetorical space in which researchers strategically negotiate credibility, transparency, and audience expectation. Now, this needs further elaboration. Yeah, and you need to support this claim, yeah, by using theory of argument. Yeah. What is uh, effective argument? Yeah, persuasive argument. Uh, Credibility, transparency, audience expectation. Now, what is it needs elaboration. Yeah, particularly the finding highlight the need for academic writing instruction. Okay, this is like a suggestion, yeah, or implication. What you need here, support justification for this claim, yeah, in the first sentence. Yeah, you have to cite books, argument books. Yeah, yeah. What is a strong argument? How to address a convincing argument? Yeah? So in your discussion, yeah, since the title is about argument, you have to support. You have to justify your claim using the argument. Okay, now look at again the uh, guidebooks, yeah, the this dissertation writing guidelines, yeah. Should we address conclusion here or just in chapter 5, yeah? Yeah, because you also have the implication of the study and the conclusion here. So if you don't mean this is the conclusion of the study, yeah, you don't need to write in conclusion. Yeah, just the conclusion paragraph, concluding paragraph of this discussion section. Okay. Okay. Here, S2. Yeah. Don't write S2. Yeah. Just mention strategy 2. Yeah. Because it is maybe the readers have forgotten what it means. Yeah? S. Yeah. Or citation of material literature, yeah, Okay. Author using this approach justify the design decision by referencing authoritative sources such as, okay, yeah, this not only align, you have to interpret this first, yeah. Don't relate this to the findings of other studies first after stating the result. So why does it happen? Yeah, why do authors use strategy 2? Yeah, why do authors cite, yeah, methodological literature or cite references? What is it for? Yeah, what is the strength, yeah, the function of citation, reference, yeah, in argument? Yeah, okay, the power of authors. Yeah, so when we just claim, we just address our idea, our points, yeah, our views. Yeah, it is not convincing. So authors need to use citation, reference, to convince readers. Why? Yeah, why? Yeah, why citing Creswell, for example, yeah, Cohen, yeah. Now, why do they cite these people? Yeah, are these people popular? Are they experts or what? Yeah. So look at it. You're finding from the argument point of view. Yeah. What is the purpose of using strategy 2? What is the purpose or the function of using strategy 1? Yeah, for example. Yeah. Justify this. Yeah. Support your claim using references. Yeah. Okay, so you have here a possible reason while this may result from journal space limitation. Why journal space limitation? What is the proportion of method section in a journal? Yeah, it is about 15%. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Now you have to mention this. Now, who says that? Yeah. Why can't authors write a long method section, for example? Yeah. Now, why only 15%? Yeah. So how can authors argue strongly with a limited space? So what is the strategy of doing this? Yeah, we cannot write longer, yeah, because the proportion is only 15%. But how can we write argue strongly, yeah, by using strategies, yeah, argument strategies, yeah, strategy 4, for example. Okay. Next is citation previous studies represent a more contextual strategy. Yeah. In this case, author justifies the research design by referencing its use. Okay. This lends legitimacy through precedent and situates the current study within the ongoing scholarly tradition. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But why these people? Yeah. Uh, why do authors cite, yeah, a particular people? Yeah. For example, in using mixed method, it must be Creswell, for example. Yeah. In quantitative method, a particular person has been chosen. And why? Yeah. So here, yeah, you have to show a strong argument, yeah, in the discussion, because, yeah, this is where you address your contribution, something which was not thought by other authors before. Yeah. So yeah, so you have to show that argument section is very argumentative, yeah, for a particular purpose. Yeah. Okay, the most comprehensive and rhetorical sophisticated strategy was strategy 3, combined citation and material literature of previous studies. Yeah, so citing books and also articles. Yeah. Now, why? Why following previous authors? What is the purpose? What is the strength of argument? Jadi kalau kita mengikuti peneliti terdahulu, ya, mengapa itu meyakinkan? Right? Why is it important? Ya. Nah, apa kelebihan mengikuti peneliti terdahulu daripada mengutip buku. Ya. Apa bedanya? Ya. So we cite books. Yeah, maybe the book is too general. It's not practical. Yeah. Just common guidelines, yeah, suggestion. But when we follow the method or the argument used by previous authors, yeah, especially popular authors, so we believe that we are safe, yeah, to use the same method, the same practice, because other people have used the same method, and that people is more famous, yeah, than we are. Okay, yeah. So use the argument. Why? The reason. Yeah. Why following previous authors? Why it is not enough to just cite books? Okay, yeah. So the interpretation, the possible reason, but with a strong argument, not just possible, ya, not just might be, ya. Jadi harus masuk akal juga alasannya, ya. Okay, while space constraint and disciplinary convention may encourage brevity, yeah, the demands of international publishing, especially in English, require explicit reasoning and scholarly accountability. Okay, yeah, you cite here Toulmin's, yeah, argument. Okay, this is good, yeah, but maybe more than just Toulmin, yeah. So argument books are written by other authors as well, not just Toulmin. Okay. Okay, yeah, from pedagogical perspective again, yeah, is it here, yeah, to address the implication and conclusion, or in chapter 5? Yeah, so look at the guidelines again, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that is my further advice, yeah, to strengthen your argument in the discussion section, yeah, not just the method section. Yeah, Professor Tiono has suggested to strengthen your argument in chapter 2 and chapter 3. And here I would suggest that for you to make it stronger argument in the discussion section. Yeah? Because here, yeah, this is the most argumentative part of a dissertation, yeah, discussion. Yeah, because we have to show our interesting and important findings of our research, and we have to defend it. Ya. Jadi harus dipertahankan. Temuan kita itu baru, menarik, dan penting. Ya, apa alasannya? Nah, ya. Jadi ini bagian yang paling argumentatif, paling banyak membutuhkan referensi, ya, supaya orang yakin. Karena kalau orang membaca tulisan kita, artikel maupun disertasi, yang akan mereka kutip kebanyakan bagian ini. Ya. Jadi kalau orang mengutip ini, maka yang akan dikutipnya bagian ini temuan dan rasional, ya, dari temuan. Ya. Jadi bukan bagian pendahuluan, bukan bagian chapter 2, chapter 2, or chapter 3, but this, ya, chapter 4, the discussion section. Jadi harus kuat, ya, argumennya di sini. Ya. Oke, Risna.
Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Ya, yeah, your dissertation is still 82 pages. Ya, mungkin perlu ditambah, ya, referensi lagi. Ini referensinya berapa ini?
Ada yang belum dimasukkan, Prof. Ada yang
Ada yang belum
teori
masukkan.
baru itu di bab 2 ada perubahan itu belum saya masukkan.
Oke. Ya. Jadi yang lebih reasonable ya sekitar 150, ya. Nanti ditambah dengan appendix, dengan lampiran, ya, maybe up to 200 pages, ya. Ya, untuk disertasi ya cukup, ya. 200 kurang-kurang dikit enggak apa-apa, ya. Oke, ya, masih ada? Silakan kalau masih ada, Prof. Siti. Oke, nah,
Saya
no,
rasa
we still have.
saya cukup, Prof. Safnel. Terima kasih.
Oke. Thank you, Prof. Setiawan. Bu Irma masih ada?
Ya,
Irma, Bu Dian, Purwarono. Kalau ada
saya
silakan.
eh, eh, lebih banyak mengambil dari ini ya, jangan langsung dari AI itu, jadi kelihatan yang sebab dari saya.
Ya, suaranya putus-putus Bu Irma
Ya,
di kampusnya.
agak diperhalus ya, masih sambil nguji S1 ini,
Oh,
Prof.
oh, oke oke
Ya,
oke. Ya, ya,
kebetulan PU ya. Ya, agak
ya,
lebih
ya, ya.
diperjelas argumennya, terus perbedaan antara kedua eh, kekhasan antara kedua jurnal linguistik dengan ini diperjelas lagi. Dan itu ya dari
Hmm,
saya, Prof. Terus referensinya gunakan IPA. Itu aja, Prof, dari saya. Terima
ya,
kasih.
oke. Ya, terima kasih. Prof. Arono katanya lampu
Di,
mati di ini. Ya,
iya, di kampus lampu
ya.
mati, Prof, katanya.
Oh ya, patut.
Kata Mbak Mona,
Ya.
ya. Ya, ini
Hmm.
satu
Ya.
lagi, Prof. Ini Bu Risna
Hmm.
perlu dicamkan di benak dan juga mungkin mahasiswa ya. Eh, Bagian temuan dan pembahasan itu mohon sekitar 80% gitu ya, sekitar 80%. Jadi kata Prof. Safnil tadi perlu dikuatkan argumentasinya di situ, itulah karena 80% sehingga memang warna disertasi itu akan tampak pada bagian temuan dan pembahasan. Itu saja, Prof. Terima kasih.